Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer. So let's bring her out. Our star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
Welcome to Kill Me Now. I'm just going to preface today with some items. I've never said items here. Some items.
What's on the agenda?
Okay, here's the agenda today. First of all, I am getting off my Paxil. So I'm on 5 milligrams now.
What did you start with?
I think I was on 30, then I went to 20, then I went to 10. Then they don't make 7.5s. So, and you can't like cut a 10 to 7.5.
Right.
So I was on liquid. And I kept fucking spilling it all over the counter. And it's $58. So I had a syringe and I'd put the liquid in my mouth.
And
okay.
You're spilling it because why? Because you're shaking?
Because I'm like, no. Because I'm like, you've been to my kitchen.
Oh, okay. That's why. I thought it was
I
because
take
you were
it
coming
and then
off.
I put the cap on. It's not on right. And then the whole fucking thing falls all over the fucking place. $58. And then I started taking the syringe and trying to suck it up off the stove. Okay. So then I called the doctor. I'm like, listen, I've been on 7.5 for a while. Can we, what should I do? I can't do the liquid because it keeps fucking spilling. And it's $58 fucking dollars. So she's like, okay, why don't we go down to 0.5? I am so dizzy. Brain zaps. And then I went to the doctor, the endocrinologist, and she's like, don't you know they call Paxil Paxon? Because I've gained so much weight. That's why I'm getting off of it, because I gained weight and now I have sleep apnea. All right, whatever. So that's that. So to begin today with my Kill Me Now moment, this literally happened. So I had an audition before I got here. Now I'm late because the audition, I didn't even go in until after this, whatever. I go on the subway and I have like one of those things on your phone that you can put your fucking Metro card in or whatever. You know, like the pocket, you can stick it on.
Yeah.
And you can put in like your credit card or whatever. All right.
Yeah, a little silicone.
So I buy a monthly Metro card, which is like $100 and something. Okay. I swear to God, I go to the subway today and I pull out my phone and I take out my Metro card. I'm putting it in. I go, this is what I'm thinking in my head. I love these little pocket things. I used to always look for my fucking Metro card. And now, this was a really good thing. I literally remember thinking that. I'm walking. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I have that. I don't waste any time looking for a I fucking go to my audition. I'm leaving to go on the subway. The fucking Metro card's fucking gone. It's fucking gone. After I had that thought.
This
Why?
just happened to Hemda, too.
But it's like, why did it fall out? It's sticky. I hate everyone. Why?
It needs like a buckle on it or something.
Okay, but I literally had that. Why do I have that thought of like grateful, #grateful that I have the fucking pocket thing? And then like, why?
Because life is suffering.
So now everyone I've spoken to today, with the security downstairs, they're like, hi, how's your day going? Shit, I lost my fucking monthly Metro card. I told someone on the subway too. All right. Anyway, welcome to Kill Me Now.
Yay.
It's a very special episode as I'm coming off my medication. I am really excited about our guest today.
Me too.
Because I've known her. Do you want me to say her?
Sure.
Whatever you prefer.
Her is fine.
Is your phone playing music?
What the fuck? The fuck is wrong with me? Anyway, I've known Lady Bunny since the 80s. Ladies and gentlemen, Lady Bunny. Let's give it. And it's like you have a special place in my heart because of all our community went through during that time in New York, and just wig stuff, like everything, like the culture. of our community, and you're my age. I mean, you're 3 months older, and it's very obvious. It's like I have such a special place in my heart. You know, I love you.
Thank you. I mean,
and you're sick. Yeah.
I am sick today, but that was a wild time when Wigstock was happening because all the gays, or a lot of them lived in the East or West Village, and you could walk to the bars, and then of course the AIDS crisis was starting.
What?
Yeah, the AIDS
I never
crisis
heard of
was
that.
It was really happening. It's sickening. So everyone kind of there was an act up, fight back thing going on, and it really kind of in as much as it was a tragedy, and we saw a lot of our friends drop.
Right.
It also bound the community together.
Oh, absolutely. I always say that, to the young kids now, that we were so separate before, like the lesbians and the gays, the bisexuals, whatever. But it's like we really became such a strong community after and during that period of time. And the culture, it was so, I think it was important to still have fun. You know what I mean? Like, and I think you were such a big part of that. You know what? We're not going to fucking crawl in a hole and all die. We're going to fight this, and we're going to laugh, and we're going to dance. And
well, I always thought that my role was to be that of the jester because I
Right.
arrived here in
Of
like at
course.
age 22, so I was not hip to politics or
Right.
knowledgeable about and I would do act up benefits, but
Right.
I knew that I wasn't going to be the driving force between
Right.
getting medications approved or
Right.
legislation.
Right.
But I am a clown, so
Right.
gathering everyone
we always
in the
need
park.
the clowns.
Well,
Hello?
especially in dark times.
Yeah.
Send them in.
That's funny.
Nice.
Send him. Oh God, Patrick's here. If I sing "Send in the Clowns," how much is that, Patrick? By the way, let's welcome back Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
Patrick is here. Seth's been here the past, couple months because Patrick got mad at me. But we're happy to have Patrick back because Seth. Look, can we just talk about Seth for how annoying he is?
What a dick, right?
No, I love Seth, but you know what, Patrick? With the new Seth time here, I do appreciate you more. Because
He needs to be put on voice probation.
right, he does. He needs a little voice probation.
I'm not even going to say anything to that.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. And I mean, I never get the numbers from him.
Oh.
He never sends like updates on any whatever. Anyway, so let's start from the beginning because you have an interesting life. I mean, I find anyone who was brought up in the South who's gay, trans, bi, whatever. Like, I mean, I grew up in New Jersey. It was bad enough. But the South is a whole other world to me. And, I mean, did you see that video? Did you see the video on Twitter of the guy? Because today, by the way, we're recording the day that fucking pedophile might win, a Senate seat.
Yep.
And there was a guy. Did you see this on Twitter?
No.
I'm going to play it.
Okay.
Who his daughter committed suicide because she was gay, and he's such a
Holy roller.
no. He was where the fuck is it? Sorry, people. And he was protesting. Here it is. Here we go. Listen to this. Okay, can I put this on the thing?
That's her right there. Judge Roy Moore called her a prevert on one reason, because she was gay.
This is his daughter.
If he called her a prevert, he called your child a prevert if she was gay, or your son was gay. This is something people need to stop and think about. You're supposed to uphold the Constitution. The Constitution said all men are created equal. Well, how's my daughter a prevert just because she was gay? Does it mean she was born gay? I don't know the answer to that. But she was gay. There she is.
Are you a man of faith?
Am I a man of faith? Yes. I am.
And Sharon Callahan
Okay.
is gone.
Wow.
Okay, but he goes on and on. Wait.
Being out here tonight, what do you hope to accomplish?
I don't know what I'll accomplish. I really don't. I had mixed emotions about coming, but somebody needs to speak up. And if it's all to no avail, so be it. It won't be the first time I've done something to no avail, okay?
How far of a drive
But my
is it?
sign there speaks for itself, and my sign is true. Sir?
How far of a drive was this for you?
I'm only about 15 to 20 miles away. I was born here in Midland City.
So are you suggesting that the suicide of your daughter was because of...
No,
things that
I'm
you
not
said like that?
I'm not suggesting that. I was anti-gay myself. I said bad things to my daughter myself, which I regret. But I can't take back what happened to my daughter. But stuff like saying my daughter's a prevert, sure, I'm sure that bothered her. Now,
Okay. So,
I just said my daughter. He didn't call my daughter by name.
okay.
All gay people are preverts, abominations. That's not true. We don't need a person like that representing us in Washington.
Okay. I mean, that.
Well, her death is not in vain. These are the guys that need to be
make-
speaking
I mean,
out.
First of all, it makes me sad that his daughter's not here to see that.
She took one for the team.
Right. I mean, the fact that I have completely ignored since I've watched this 100 times that he says prevert instead of pervert.
That's amazing.
That is really amazing. But that's how you grew up. Is that what?
No, that's not how I grew up because my parents, always had that thing like I would say, don't you, I would watch TV shows
Right.
where girls would snare husbands who were
Right.
doctors or lawyers, and I would
Right.
ask them, "Don't you want me to be a doctor or
Right.
lawyer?" They'd say, "Not if we don't want." And now they say, "You really called our bluff,"
Right.
because listen, my parents were kind of like the town liberals,
Right.
in Chattanooga. My dad was an anti-draft counselor in the Vietnam War. He was an advocate of public transportation to save on gas because of the gas
Right.
shortage of the 70s, and he's cheap.
Where did first of all, what do you feel when you see that?
Well, I don't think that it may be worse in the South, but I don't
Right.
think it's unique to the South. And
I think
it's
that-
why I got out of the South.
Right. But
I mean, that's not the only reason.
Right.
Because I kind of somehow myself, I found a way to get over on
Right.
them, whether it was, being an acknowledged sissy who wasn't good at sports, but somehow they did not think I was a prevert.
Right.
They didn't think that I was drooling while molesting
right,
kids.
right.
They knew I was one of them because I'd grown up with them.
Right.
And, they may not have agreed with my dad's views, but I mean, I wanted to get out of there for a variety of reasons, but that was definitely one. You walk down the street and that bottle comes flying at your head.
Right.
And before the AIDS struggle brought us together, it was the struggle for, legal protections.
Right.
So to someone at age 55 like me, sometimes I read how many letters are in the LGBT
Oh my
LMNOP
God,
/ whatever.
Can I tell you
Sometimes
something?
I just like wow, that's a real luxury.
Right.
I'm not trying to poo-poo anyone's identity because my own
You
is
haven't
so,
seen my bit.
I rolled my eyes because you both have the same joke.
Well,
a couple of very similar ones
I have a
that I
huge
love.
bit in my act about the LGBTQ RSTUVWXYZ community, and it's huge. It's so. I mean, it's controversial because, I love the LGBT community, and you do too. I mean, we fought.
We
were
are
out.
it. We
right.
are it.
But you know what? Sorry, we're not gonna. I'm this, so I want to be called. No. You don't get to change the name. You know what I mean?
It's just including more
It's
people.
not including it's. I think it's. This is what they call identity politics.
Totally.
And it's sort of you're like. I mean, you're alienating the people who want you to live with dignity.
And who you want to accept you
Right.
because you are defining things in such stringent terms.
Right.
I mean, listen, I'm a queen, honey. Internet,
Right.
I don't jump out of my wig
Right.
and become an alpha man,
Right.
with a gym body.
Right.
I am a queen. I'm a
Right.
sissy.
Right.
So it's like I am one of those non-binary genderqueer
Right.
things. I am that.
Right. But
I just don't feel the
know
need
that.
to be precious.
Right.
I don't feel the need to be
Right.
precious about it. And it's like I did some event in Chicago at their gay pride at the center, and actually I shouldn't even say the name of the city because I don't want to get anyone in trouble because this is such a hot, babe. But he confessed to me after seeing my show where I do a similar bit. He was like, "We have changed the name on the plaque on the bathroom 3 times this month." I said, "Call me ridiculous or old-fashioned or, but I would rather see that money go to AIDS victims or seniors with no meals or housing or whatever."
It's this, I feel like, all right, the Vietnam War, I remember them coming home. I remember watching TV and them coming home. Did I live through the Vietnam War? No, I was too young. I mean, I did, but I wasn't cognizant of what was going on. I do remember them coming home and how emotional it was. These millennials, if you will, have not really. I mean, Clinton, everyone had money. Bush, horrible war, but really not. 9/11 was horrible. We'll get to that, but I'm just saying, the privilege that they lived with and grew up with. And it's like this sort of spoiled attitude. It's really off-putting because you worked so hard. I worked so. We're activists in our bones. We are activists who want, the other side is always like, you want more rights. Why should I give it? No, we want the same rights. No, we're not asking for anything more. I've had relatives like, why do you have to have a parade? Why do you have to have a fucking parade? Why do you have to have St. Patrick's Day parade and this parade? Why can't I have a fucking parade?
Right.
Well, we need a parade because unlike straights, we're not the norm and we have to fight for our rights.
And also, it's the funnest fucking parade in the entire world. But it's really hard because you don't want to be Archie Bunker, but...
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the economy because... through Clinton and then Bush and then the recession kind of, set in and it hasn't really left, which I think is maybe the reason the clubs died.
Right.
And people now sit scrolling. All you need is an internet connection. You don't have to put on a look and go out to clubs. And so all the big clubs, those giant tunnels,
it's so horrible.
They're dead. So
that was where we all, that's where it all...
Well, that was where we found community so we weren't bickering online.
Right.
But I wonder if the conditions to where we are, compartmentalizing, I put a red mascara on one eyelash and blue on the other and grew a beard. Therefore, today I am gender non-binary, whatever. Right. I don't want to frown on anyone's sexual expression. I've worn women's clothes to work for 30 years. I don't want to frown.
But it's also
I wonder if it has something to do with the recession because it's like young people who I don't like their music. I don't like their video games, but I was Lady Bernie, supporting Bernie Sanders in the primary. Right. And so I felt for them because their situation is this. Can't afford college, saddled with a lifetime of debt. And then if you get out, maybe you get a job at McDonald's. There's not a clear-cut path to success.
But not all of them are like that,
No.
I also think that
But I wonder if that makes them want to compartmentalize their gender because they're seeing climate change. They're seeing, recession that never really ended. They're seeing Trump, and I wonder if they're wanting to compartmentalize what they can and micromanage what they can do. I mean, that's just a theory.
It's a good one. I think it's valid. I think it's also
correct
that we had a black president. They don't. I also don't think they know what that meant. That and that we had a black. They don't get how fucking big that is. It's just like gay marriage. I think that like my kids. They're like, why, they would ask me, what? I don't understand why you can't get married, But when I think back to Edie Windsor and Thea Spire, that in 1967, Thea proposed to her, thinking in her head, this is a possibility. Like, I was 5. There's no way I ever thought that would be that a gay person could get, you know what I mean? But they see all these possibilities, and now, I don't know. I just think it's sort of a spoiled...
They don't have anything to compare it to. So, like you were saying, both of you, they were born into this kind of dystopian feeling type thing, being told that they can do whatever they want to do, and they're kind of jaded. And I find that they have no patience. Because they don't have anything.
Well, they don't have patience because they fucking have a phone and they don't know what it's like to be bored.
Precious.
That's the thing. You know, most great work was you were a kid when you're bored and you're like, what can I do? That's creativity.
Yeah.
No one's fucking bored anymore. And that's the problem.
Yes.
Well, there's an
Simon
assault
Sinek.
on our senses,
Right.
and I look at people. If you wonder why the clubs die, it's like because even in the clubs, people are sitting there scrolling, and it's just like
they should have clubs where they take your fucking phone.
Actually, they do jam the sensors at certain clubs,
Right.
either because they want them to be so wild, or they
Right.
don't want that people are disrobing, or maybe because there's
Right.
drugged out behavior or
Right.
whatever. But they do that.
Right.
And a friend of mine DJs all over Europe, and I said, so do they dance? He said, they don't dance here in DC at the club where he works. I said, do they dance in Europe when you do these gigs? He said, yeah. I said, why is that? He said, because they're out in castles outside with really thick walls outside the city, so they don't get a cell phone. So I said, if you take away the cell phone,
then
they will
have
actually
to
buy each other a
interact.
drink,
Right.
interact, talk, dance. But honey, they're not going to take away the cell
Right.
phone. We're
I know.
as you
We're
said, over
fucking-
50.
I loved life without cell phone. All right. So let's go back. Were you born in North Carolina?
Wilmington.
Oh, very nice. There's a school there. University of North Carolina.
Is there? I got out soon and
Oh,
grew
all
up
right.
in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Chattanooga. Wow.
Where there's also a university.
So why'd you, University of Tennessee, why did you move from North Carolina to Tennessee? Father, work?
Well,
mother?
my parents said they wanted to be an 8-hour drive from their family, who were all in Greensboro area, and so that the parents could never drop in.
Oh, that's
and I
a
said,
good
you
idea.
taught me well, honey. Why you think I moved to New York? It's a 3-day drive for you to get up here. I'm not gonna...
They don't sound so bad. Now, do you have any siblings?
Yes, a sister, Jan, in Philly, who I spent the Thanksgiving holiday with.
Are you younger, older?
She's 3 years older. And always will be.
That's right.
That is, where does she live?
In a suburb of Philly. With her
That's
family.
good. What suburb?
Exton.
Oh, I never heard of that. Is that in Pennsylvania?
Well, that's the train stop. I don't
all
know
right.
the actual
All right. So, okay. So, were you a good student?
I was. I didn't apply myself like I should.
Oh, just yeah.
Yeah. So I
she
think
doesn't apply herself. If she applied herself, she would get straight A's. All right,
exactly.
go.
Exactly.
So, what? I'm so fascinated by the South. What was your like? Did you have a lot of land? Were your neighbors really close? What did did you go to church?
Oh yes.
What kind of church?
Well, we went to a Congregationalist church.
Okay, which means what?
Well, it's like a little bit more liberal than Methodist.
Okay.
But my dad actually went to seminary before
No way.
and ditched it and then became a history professor. So
Wow, he's smart.
Yeah. And
Wait, seminary like to be a priest?
Yeah.
Do you think he has a little gay in him?
Oh no! Not
really?
to be a Catholic priest, but now they're Quaker. They converted when I was
the
around.
Quakers are so nice.
I know. So they're cool with gay stuff.
Where did they meet? Your parents?
In high school, in North Carolina.
Do you think they ever cheated on each other?
Well, I would never presume to air my parents'
You're such a
dirty
lady.
laundry
You're
on the
such a-
radio.
I just only ask that because if you meet someone in high school, like you have to fuck other people. You know what I mean?
I don't know about the Ingalls. They're still together
right.
in the house I grew up in. I don't go down there too much because my sister lives in Philly.
Oh,
The Ingalls don't get wilder.
Yeah, Laura. All right, so you. So then, were you popular in high school and everything?
Well, I had like the jock friends that lived in my neighborhood.
Right.
So that was so lucky for me because even though I was a queen, they accepted me. And it was just, like I say, they thought someone gay was a drooling pervert and I was not that.
Right.
So,
but you asked your parents for a Barbie, right?
Oh, of course. And they said, we thought that this might make you gay and we were hesitant to give it to you. And I said, if I wanted it, I think I was already gay.
Right. Oh, you talked to him about it afterwards.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I did ballet and stuff.
Right.
I mean, they if they didn't know that I was, my parents aren't dumb,
right?
You know, they never went through that moment of, oh, what have we done wrong?
Right.
You know, even though I came out in the late 70s,
right?
So
That's
my sister actually ratted me out, even
what
though
the fuck is wrong with her?
I had been so quiet about all her sexual exploration with
Until
anybody that wanted it.
Right.
No, I never ratted her out.
How did she rat you out?
I don't even remember. I just remember I was building up to tell them, and then it's like, boom, done.
Wow. Did they freak out?
No. I mean,
you are so lucky.
I am very lucky in the parents department. And when I came to New York, I realized, wow, I'm a drag queen. My parents don't understand, and I wasn't a successful one, you know, at all.
Right.
You know, doing piddly, you know, bar gigs.
Right.
And not only did my parents accept me, but I realized that so many of my friends had come to New York because their parents didn't even accept them as gay.
Right.
So
exactly.
mine are like fine with the drag queen. My mother lets me put a wig and false eyelashes, feather boa, take her out to Jackie 60 when that was going. And I was like, Mom, this is a trans hooker. This is a crack dealer. This is. I mean, it was just. She's such a good sport.
She was a nurse, right?
She was.
Like in a hospital, or
she in many hospitals, but then she became a nursing home ombudsman where she supervised nursing homes where, you know, like let people fall out and break a bone and just throw them back in the or get bed sores or whatever. So she actually went on to become, you know, like supervise 7 counties and get an honorary degree in nursing from I think LSU. So
that's great.
Yeah, I mean, for someone who was somewhat country from North Carolina, it was kind of a big deal for her, and they wouldn't let her retire because she was so great. Anytime they had to train someone, they would haul Lady Becky back out. So yeah, she's
cute.
Yeah, it is cute. She's adult. She calls herself the Queen Mother and is always threatening to storm the stage at my shows and show everyone who the real talent is with her tambourine. And she also does singing seniors. And I said, you know, she said, the other day, so what did you do in your Christmas recital? And they went to Ireland once, and she said, we did all these Gregorian chants. I was like, Mom,
boring.
Ireland is in Europe. I don't think they need to hear a Chattanooga accent.
Gregorian.
I don't think they need to.
That's how bluegrass happened.
I know, but she said, well, we don't take charge admission, but we have a love offering. I said, Mom, please tell me you're not stripping again, because those days that ship has sailed. She said, well, maybe out of pity I would make more money if I did it. So she and I have a great relationship and kid around and all that. But I've told her what she needs to do. She needs to come up there. Ladies and gentlemen, the singing seniors, have the men come out with canes and the women come out with IVs on wheels and sing Staying Alive.
That's such a great idea. You could direct it.
I know, but they want the Gregorian chants.
That's so boring. All right.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
So in high school, you went to a thrift store.
Yes.
And found the Female Impersonator's Handbook.
Yes.
Is it a thrift store in Tennessee?
In Chattanooga, Tennessee. I do not know where that came from.
Now, let's describe you finding that book. Like you're in the thrift store.
Right.
You're just looking around for shit, and then boom.
Well, people ask me what my influences are, and of course I love Barbara Eden and Charo
oh my God!
and Carol
She
Channing.
was my first crush, Barbara Eden.
Wow, she's so gorgeous.
I know, right?
But the real thing that was my inspiration was this book, because it was in the late 60s, so you know they wore the upper and lower false eyelashes, and so it really crafted my look. One of the stars on the cover of the book is Ricky Renee, who she moved to Europe decades ago, but she actually had a bit part in Cabaret.
Really?
Yes, and she was gorgeous.
Right.
And just had
And
like
the
a special.
fucking dresses. Like, did you see
Well,
that?
and they all sang
I
live
just got
back
the
then.
bell.
They did not. They had these reviews that would tour around
Right.
called the Jewel Box Review.
Right.
Then there was one on the Black Chitlin circuit called the Pearl Box Review, which oddly
Pearl
enough.
Bailey.
Well, no,
No,
not that upscale. But if you remember from Paris is Burning,
Yeah.
the Queen Dorian Corey,
Right.
who mummified her boyfriend,
Yes.
she was actually in the Pearl Box Review.
Oh,
Yeah.
very nice.
So, and the album, it was a double album. This is it's a collector's item.
Right.
But one whole album is they invite like really drunk, possibly homeless guy in there to say things to the queens, like to Dorian, like
Right.
you're a big, fine, high, yellow heifer. I mean, it's just like the most. It's like you cannot even believe that some of these.
Right,
And
right.
many of our pyramid, things we would lip sync to stuff like that, not because we couldn't sing or do it, but because you could not believe that
Right,
anyone
right.
actually, recorded this. Like there's
Right.
one sexual album, and I guess swingers played this at parties, but there's like an old Irish guy that they used to do the voiceover, and he's trying to turn this woman on, and he's saying, "Oh, darling, when I get a hold of your cunt," and I'm like, "Oh my God, who is?
I like that,
Who is
cunt.
that going to turn on?" I mean, he sounds like
I'm going to
70.
say coont as much as I possibly can now.
You are a cunt.
First, okay, did you go to college?
I went to 2 years, a little bit at University of Tennessee at Chattanooga where my dad taught, and then like a year
Did
and
you
a
get
half
to go
at
for
Georgia
free?
State.
Don't the professor's kids get to go for free? No.
I did, but
What
I
were you
was such a
studying?
brat, just general. I moved to Atlanta, met RuPaul, and
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
You're fucking skipping ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, I didn't really, I mean, there was no. I'd been over to England
Right.
and seen
You
all
went
the
to high school in England, right?
for 2 years. Took my A levels. I didn't say I passed them, but
Right,
I
but
did.
why
go.
why did you go to?
Because it was a Quaker
In
school,
York?
and my parents thought that I
Oh.
would become a Quaker. Instead, I became a drag queen, androgynous, wearing all that new wave
Right.
Adam Ant, bullshit,
yes, yes,
all
yes,
that
yes.
stuff. I mean, Annie Lennox had a group called the
Yeah.
Tourists.
Yes.
So that was the ska, the specials. That was all the stuff
So
that
did
I was
you
into.
live like in a dormitory
Yes.
with other? Was it all boys?
It was all boys, but we had a sister school, and this was the gagger. I lucked out because there were 7 guys in my room.
Right.
None of them assaulted me. No,
Right.
every one of them represented like the best in math, the principal's son, the best in soccer, the best in something. So somehow a queen was able to get over. And when they had the school dances, because I love to dance and still
Right.
DJ and whatever. They literally photoshopped a picture. They didn't Photoshop back then, but put a picture of my head on John Travolta's body and put a
that's
speech
hilarious.
bubble saying, "Come on, boys, don't miss the dance." So we actually did drag.
That's
Drag was
great.
common in our senior class because
Right.
the seniors had privileges over the younger
That's
boys that
so
I never
great.
abused.
Right.
But I got everyone that did abuse the younger kids to come out in tutus.
Right.
And when we were doing the rehearsal, the guy running the show said, "Do not change a thing." So I was destined for the drag. The school did not make me a Quaker, but it
Right.
did make me a drag queen. But there's no class for drag queen.
Now, if you're sharing a room with 7, is it one room?
Yes, Spartan, quite Spartan, because Quakers are frugal.
But
It's
wait,
another word
what
for
about
cheap.
right? But what about like if you want to jerk off or something?
Well, I mean,
Thank you.
I was seeing outside men.
Right.
Did your boys know
Off the
about
campus,
this?
because honey, I never asked a boy to do a man's job.
Right.
Okay, so I wasn't interested in their young asses
Right.
anyway. I've always
Right.
liked older men. Of course, at my age now they're
Right.
dead. So
Oh.
But were they like? All right, whatever.
they thought Americans were like really like sexed up. I don't think. I
Right.
think that we had sex at a much younger age than most of the boys at the school.
Really?
I won't say that in England for sure. They also thought I was crazy because I washed my hair every day.
Really?
That's fun. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
but we all did, didn't we? All in high school.
Not in England.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
con-
and
that-
what
that's
about their
cons-
teeth? Anyway, I
Yeah.
love you guys. All right, so then you quit school, and you go to New York.
I go to Atlanta
Oh,
to
to
go to
Atlanta.
Georgia State.
Okay.
And there was a kind of hung out on the new wave punk rock band,
Right.
straight mix scene. Met
Right.
RuPaul.
But
We
you
were
went
roommates.
Did you go to a show? Like, how'd you meet Rue?
We were go-go dancers for a band called the Now Explosion.
Mm-hmm.
That was at a time when he and I made the same amount of money.
I love him. Isn't he the best, though? He's such a nice guy. So, the first drag show you ever saw, Lip Synca. Is that correct?
Oh, no. I
Well,
was sneaking in.
Excuse me! What the fuck is this note? First drag show he ever saw. Lip Synca's first farewell performance in 1982.
Well, now she is old. So I'm not saying lip sync is not old.
Right.
But no,
I'm
you know what?
saying that Hennessy fucking put...
I was sneaking into, well, maybe no one knows this, but I was sneaking into gay clubs as early as 13, where...
Was Roy Moore there? Yeah.
No, but
He's
the
now.
weather in Alabama favors his election because it may dip into the teens.
No way. Whoa, that's a good one.
I like jokes from the internet.
Dip into the teens.
So I snuck in. And, between like 13 and 14, I actually met Lady Chablis from Midnight.
Oh, yes!
She was a guest star.
No way.
Yeah. And went to her funeral not 2 years ago.
Wow.
So
Okay, so you see the drag, like, when you saw a drag show, were you like, oh my God, this is what I am meant to do?
I thought, because my mother, I
Right.
love her, but she's no glamour puss. And these,
Right.
where else had I seen in Chattanooga with high heels,
Right.
sequin dresses,
Right.
false eyelashes, huge wigs and stuff. So I fell in love with them, and I think they could immediately tell this is one. This is not a tranny chaser.
right.
This is one of us.
Right,
this
right.
is, this one's going to be one of us. So it was just that kind of thing.
So where you meet RuPaul in Atlanta, and then what happens from that point on?
Well, we became best friends and roommates
Right.
and performed together. And then he got a gig in New York, and I was one of the special guests. And I did
Right.
an award-winning lip sync to "I Will Survive." You know, when there's that little lull in the beginning,
Yes.
the 2/3 of the way.
Yes.
Well, I was so drunk that I fell, lost a shoe, lost a wig, but somehow within that lull, slapped the wig back on, got the shoe back on, and finished the number to
Right.
tumultuous applause, and I was a regular at the Pyramid since then.
Oh, that is fucking great.
It was somewhat tragic. I think it might be on video.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
I'll find that.
Then how are you making a living?
Dancing on the bar for $50 an hour and living with my sister on 4th between C and D. She lived here at that time.
No way.
With a boyfriend who hated me. And at one point,
Fuck
I was.
him. He's
that
a
was when
fucking asshole.
Well, he sure is. But I remember what the first night that I got paid because
Yeah.
in Atlanta we were always just kind of like scenery and we weren't really hard.
Right.
The first night we got paid to do drag. The first night I got paid.
Right.
I was walking home to 4th between C and D when it was really really rough. And
Wait, I was just going to say we have to talk about what it was like.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they did that. Suddenly, this guy stepped out with a gun from behind a van and
Right.
said, "Give me your money." And I was like, "I've just made the first money I've ever made in drag. You are not." So I literally ran from the
No
gun,
way.
and
Did
my
you say
life
that
was
to
not
him?
worth
No.
$50, and it has depreciated considerably since then. So. But yeah, I
You
was
gave
like,
him the money.
No, I said
Oh.
I ran from the gun.
Yeah.
I was like, "Go ahead and shoot." You don't
Did he shoot?
No,
Were you wearing heels?
not the gun.
Hey, good night, folks. So, we have to explain what Fourth Street between C and D. What like
It
when
was not
I
red
say,
velvet.
I mean, now
rope.
it's like you can't fucking afford it. But it was. I mean, when I remember going down, like St. Mark's Place, like lots and old fucking burnt out cars and crack and.
subway cars covered in graffiti.
Oh yeah,
and,
it was
you know.
awful and stringent. I remember because I just walked to I had an audition on 44th Street, and the Improv used to be on 44th between 8th and 9th. And I remember in the 80s when I'd walk there, you remember Times Square in the 80s?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it
But
was.
I would rather see somebody saying coke, meth, or heroin,
Yeah.
whatever, than I would Gucci, Prada,
Right,
or
right,
whatever.
right,
It's
right.
like that's our new addiction:
I know,
designer
right?
labels to kind of front and make ourselves look like we're
I know you
doing better than we are. But someone interviewed me for like a club zine a couple
Right.
years ago, and he said, so has New York City just turned into a big like
Mall.
Sex in the
Yeah.
City with clueless you know
Yeah.
girls drinking bubble tea on their cell
Yeah.
phone, hobbling over the cobblestones in 2 high heels
Right.
in the meat market? I said yes. They said, well, tell me about this shooting that just happened on Christopher Street. It was about maybe 3
yes,
years ago.
yes.
It was right. I think it was actually someone that was gay that
Right.
did the shooting. But at any rate, I said, well,
killed
you know
the
what?
gay guy.
But I think it was it was shooting within a gay. I don't
Right.
remember the details.
Right.
Gay on
But-
gay.
I thought it was a hate crime.
Gay on
but
gay.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I had this awareness at that moment because I was like, well, you know what? You can't pine for the way New York was and it wasn't so slick and so corporate. The fact
Right.
is, we don't miss the muggings. We're
Right.
older now. Is it nice to look back at the graffiti covered cars?
Yeah,
But we're
you're right.
essentially safe. We romanticize what we
Right,
look
yeah,
back on,
but
and is
also-
New York slick and corporate and somewhat
But
dull?
there's a
Every city
difference.
is.
Yeah, but the big difference is that I moved here in 1984. I made no money, but I found an apartment. I could live here. A starving artist could live in New York City.
Sure.
Now
Same thing with
there's
me in '84.
Right. So now, no, you can't be a starving artist and move and find an apartment in New York.
I think some of these club kids who you see out in these incredible outfits, they're living in Jersey or
Right,
in the outer boroughs,
Right.
5, 6 to a room.
Right. Oh, yeah. And what about fucking Brooklyn? Like, now you can't even afford Brooklyn. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, or Long Island City. That's
Yeah,
turning
that's
into
the new
Wall
one,
Street.
yeah.
or something.
Is it really? I got an email from a realtor saying Philadelphia, Manhattan's 5th borough, and I was
No
like,
way.
oh my god, no,
Yeah.
my sister
Sorry.
living there.
So you make your first $50. You're dancing on a bar. How long did that go on?
Well, occasionally I would undercut the other girls who maybe couldn't dance as well and do
Right.
it for 40,
Right.
which was a bag of heroin for the owner.
Right.
So I became, like a staple.
Right.
And through, the organizing Wigstock was a result of being at the Pyramid and me thinking, these acts like John Kelly as Joni
Right.
Mitchell or
Right.
Lip Synca, these deserve a wider audience. Plus,
Right.
there was a band in Tompkins Square Park, a band shell in Tompkins Square Park, where they would literally just like have heavy metal bands jamming
Right.
those like 30-minute
Yes,
masturbatory guitar solos. And I just thought, as someone that had always put on shows in my
Right.
backyard with the neighborhood, I said, I can do better than that.
Right.
So, that's what started that. Just me wanting to showcase
Right.
the drag at the Pyramid, because in Atlanta, the drag was very polished pageant drag,
Right.
dead on Tina Turner,
Right.
Jennifer Holliday, Cher,
Right.
Melissa Manchester in the
I
butterfly
just worked
sequin
with her.
tops.
I just worked with her last night.
Whoa.
I
how's
love her.
that?
Well, anyway, it was
Isn't
very,
she the best?
it was
I
very
love her.
serious.
Fun.
And
Oh,
so,
Melissa Manchester. sorry.
coming up to
Yeah.
to New York and seeing people impersonate, Maria Callas.
I know,
or,
right.
Or Janis Joplin.
Right.
It was like it just kind of
Right.
drove me
Janis
crazy.
Joplin. I don't know if Janis Joplin was Jewish, or she has a Jewish name. Anyway, okay, so I mean, this all brings back such memories for me. So here you are, you're doing all this stuff. Are you making cash? Like, how are you living?
Well, as when you moved here, someone
Yeah.
said my rent is $500. Do you want to split it? We slept in the same bed. But
I,
$250, even dancing for $50. A couple times.
Right.
I did have a job at a publishing company that my sister worked at briefly.
Right. I did that too. I was a typesetter.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived with an opera singer. But he would go on the road all the time, so I'd get the whole plate. But he had a cat that would bring in fucking dead pigeons. And I was like, I can't. And he's like, that means the cat likes you. It's bringing you a present. I'm like, no! All right. So, Norma, well,
How
no, I
did
was
they
like,
taste?
No! Oh, gross! Okay, so here you are. It's the mid-'80s. You're dancing. You're You're in the club scene. You're a club kid. The AIDS crisis hits. What I remember from this period of time, I mean, I remember thinking, like, first of all, I tried to tell people, like, you couldn't hide being gay anymore. Like, you saw so many men walking down the street, emaciated with sore, it was such a weird time. But it was also, here you are in your 20s dealing with death. Like,
well,
you know what I mean? Dealing with these are my friends and they're going to die. You know?
And they died very quickly back then. They didn't hang on. And it was never the ones you wanted to go.
Right. Woo! Yeah.
Listen, that I made it out of there alive. I mean, the 3 high-risk groups are Black and Latino men, the only men I sleep with, IV drug users. East Village is the number one IV drug user thing, was, as you said, syringes on the floor. And gays. Well, I'm all 3, so for me to not get it, is like a miracle.
Did you get tested all the time?
No, because I'm a hypochondriac, nurse's mama's boy.
Right.
So I was too scared to get tested until I took a Valium or something and was in it. Because in New York, they actually, they may not take your name, but they record if you are positive.
Right.
And I'm a hypochondriac, so of course every blemish was a lesion, every cold was pneumonia.
Right.
And so I was, like a freak. And I mean, my mom, bless her heart, would send me articles like, cat AIDS, feline AIDS.
Oh, yeah, remember feline?
The symptoms of AIDS, or doctors question the safety of herbal teas. And at that point I said, Mom, I know that you love me, but I don't need to be any more scared than I am. So I finally got the test in LA where they were collecting, the reason they were doing the free testing that it was anonymous. Well, I didn't get it until I was 40. But I mean, my mom, of course, doctors always want you to get it. But
Did you always wonder? Like,
of
up
course,
until that time?
I said to the doctor, you monitor my white blood cells. If I'm not having night sweats or, diarrhea that doesn't go away, or if I'm having lesions, then we will, have the test. But I knew that if I got the test and I was positive, I would worry myself into the grave within a week. So I waited until I was like 40, popped a Valium, and the went in and got the test with a friend who was HIV positive, and it was. I mean, the odd thing is that being negative is actually a huge responsibility, because you're not thinking. I mean, listen, they dispute this, but Donna Summer said something like, gay people deserve AIDS, and there was a big blip, or God is.
I don't dispute it.
This is not uncommon. So listen, we're talking about the South and how I had it so great and was on student council, whatever. Listen, those messages from your church or other family members, that's a deep-seated shame. So that can translate to
also,
I deserve this. You're a fucking fag. You're gonna get it. You're a whore. I mean, but listen, nobody made me a slut except myself. I chose to act on sexual urges. Of course, it's hideous that something as natural as sex would be blighted by a fatal, and it was fatal then, disease. But it was. Knowing that I'm positive, actually, that I'm negative, actually, is a huge burden to.
This is another like issue with the millennials who think like when I work in theater or something, and these young gay kids, I'm like, wear a condom, and that here's another thing where they're thinking, I'm not going to get it, or it's like having the flu, like.
Well, they think that they're not going to get it, and if they do, it's not such a big deal because it's not a death sentence anymore. But then they're also taking PrEP, which is kind of like it reduces your viral load to where even if you don't have it, even if you do have HIV, it would not be transmitted if you have condomless sex because it makes your viral load so low. But honey, just like, it's a cold sore.
Right.
I don't trust any
Right,
man.
right.
I don't believe any man. I made it through all that thing by putting
Right.
a condom on every, dick that was there. So I don't know. I mean, a condom is a lot cheaper than PrEP. I mean,
Right.
I just would not trust. What, you miss a day? Is it like birth control
Yeah,
where you miss a
exactly.
day and oops, I guess I was transmissible
Right.
on that day. I was like, I'm not.
It's unbelievable
Trans
how far
everything.
they
I
came.
mean, condoms break,
Right.
occasionally, but
Yeah, I don't trust anyone either. What?
I was just going to ask about you feeling a burden from not being positive. Is that a survivor's guilt type of thing? Because you did go through war, like, during that time.
it's not so much a survivor's guilt. Someone said something to me from my Atlanta days when AIDS first hit. They said, don't be a statistic.
Right.
Now, I do not know what in my brain that appealed to, but that sunk in, and I said, don't get this.
Right,
So
absolutely.
just like one of those weird things that just stuck in your head. So I don't think it was survivor's guilt, but it was like, okay, now that I've assumed that I am HIV positive until mid 40s.
Right. I mean, that's unbelievable that you thought that the whole fucking time.
Well, my mother's a nurse, so she was
Right.
saying if your white blood cells are then there's an infection,
Right.
you need to check that out, and they weren't. So
Right.
so
Who was the?
Congratulations.
Who was the first person, either who succumbed in your life? Like, who was the one where you went, "Oh my God, this is hitting home"?
an artist named Tom Rubinitz, who put Ann Magnuson and me and RuPaul and others in his little experimental shorts, some of which have become, there's one called Pickle Surprise,
Right.
which is a cooking short, and it's so, trippy that it's actually, there's like it's become a viral hit, and there's young, people like impersonating us doing their own
Oh my
version
God,
of it.
I love
It's so
that!
insane. But you know what? I was so scared of AIDS back then that I did not go and visit my dear friend Tom. He always had whether I was supporting me putting on Wigstock or just me as a solo performer, he always, made me feel that as someone older that he recognized something in me. And because he was so skeletal and so emaciated, and because I was so afraid that I probably had it, I didn't visit him as much as I could. And that's something you can never take back. So
yeah, I remember the Tony, who ran Catch a Rising Star Comedy Club. He got. I remember when you go to the hospital and it was like you were quarantined, But I remember thinking, I had read that you can't. I knew you can't get it from like saliva or whatever, And I remember always holding hands. I felt like that was the most important. It was just a fucking horrible time,
Well, I mean, the other thing, and the thing that I was so, careful about is they would say, you can't get it through saliva, but if there's a cut in your mouth, and am I the only person that's ever flossed my teeth until they're
that's
bleeding?
what I have.
So
that's my friends were in a relationship, and one was positive and one was negative, and they could not make out if one flossed. If the one flossed.
Or I mean, listen, if there's I don't know if it causes blood, but me being a hypochondriac, I was like, when you eat the crust of a piece of pizza, it abrates the delicate skin on your mouth. I was like, is that going to be the entry
If you
way?
have cracked
don't
lips.
suck a dick today.
Yeah.
Which I do now. After Bed Bath & Beyond sold me another humidifier that doesn't work.
Is that
after
true?
2 weeks, yes.
20% off though. Didn't you get 20% off? Are you fucking kidding me? You don't know about the Bed Bath & Beyond 20% off?
No.
Okay, Bunny. Every fucking
But I don't want to patronize them because for the past 3 years they've sold me a humidifier that stopped working.
What kind of
Amazon?
Expensive.
Get it on Amazon.
Expensive.
That's not the name of the
It doesn't
brand,
matter where
Bunny.
you get it if it doesn't
matter.
work.
Yes, but you can look at reviews.
I'm going to
there.
go to a hardware store and get one of those cheap ass ones because the
You know what? You can put a fucking pan of water in your room and it'll do the same fucking thing.
Amazon. Check out I got a good one on Amazon.
Sorry, I used to get so sick with the humidifier because if you don't clean it every fucking 5 minutes, it just puts germs all over your room. All right. Anyway, fuck. Who cares? All right. Before we go, I heard we have some new Christmas tracks.
Yes, from my Christmas show at Stonewall called Christmas Leftovers. I went to, do you know John Roberts, who does the voice of Linda on Bob's Burgers?
Yes.
He used to do crazy shows in the East Village, and I went to one at Joe's Pub recently. I said, I've got to do a Christmas show. Most of the dates are after Christmas, which is why it's calling it Christmas Leftovers. The 22nd through the 30th at Stonewall.
Oh, that's
7
awesome.
p.m. And it's just some twisted...
Maybe I'll stop in.
You are more than welcome as my guest.
I'm at, when is this airing? Who knows?
This is airing in 3 weeks, so it'll
Why
be
3 weeks?
There will be a couple. Well, 2 weeks actually. Yamanika next week, and then Bunny the week after.
So 2 weeks. So
people will hear.
Yeah.
People will be able to. You'll be able to grab if you're in New York or around New York.
Yeah,
you'll be able to grab the last
Well,
couple
the
nights.
show may be extended because it's like
my ass.
and mine too, honey.
And my stomach,
and my nose, and my chin.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can walk to work at Stonewall, and I did a show there that lasted for like a year and a half, and I really miss it. And I don't when you go on the road, you do like your standard bits. And my last show at Stonewall was kind of it was comedy, but it was raunchy comedy, but there was a message in it about political correctness.
Right.
But this show is more like do the fun stuff that they like out in the boonies and just go out there and hit it, girl. Throw a wig on your head and just give it to them.
You guys better go. It's at Stonewall, the
22nd through the 30th on brown paper tickets at 7 p.m.
Also, no one loves Christmas more than the Jews, since we wrote all of the fucking Christmas songs.
That's true.
Also,
Bunny has DJing 6 to 10 at the Monster every Sunday night, so check that out.
I want to go. I'm going.
Not the last Sunday. That's Robin Bird's night.
Not
really?
The last
Yeah, she hosted on the last Sunday.
Wow, I love that.
I love her.
So are we gonna play some tracks?
Yeah, for sure. This one is called.
Oh, don't go by the name because I think they'll know what it is when they hear it. They're all parodies.
Great.
That's
great. Isn't it great? It's minimal.
It's such a good song.
It's minimal.
We three spies of Soviet are Kushner, Flynn, and George Manafort. We're colluding with Vladimir Putin to make Trump America's czar.
Okay,
I love that.
One.
Silly.
Manafort.
This is my favorite.
Christmas, I met Santa Claus. Santa whipped his cock out, it hung to his thigh. I opened my mouth, and when I started to cry, Santa Claus just came in my mouth.
I love this shit.
He'll screw you when you're sleeping, and he won't even use grease. Then suddenly, it dawned on me, is Santa Claus Harvey Weinstein?
Give me the bell. Give me the bell.
Yes.
You're a mean one, Mr. Trump. Your heart is full of holes. Your hair's a weird contraption full of gray and orange streaks, Mr. Trump. You're one of the wealthiest people on the planet, and your hair looks like Stevie Wonder is your barber. If Stevie Wonder were an alcoholic with arthritis and Parkinson's disease. You're a racist, Mr. Trump. You're the king of bigotry. And the folks who think you're classy use their sleeves to blow their nose, Mr. Trump. Don't you dare mess with the Latinos. Because when you mess with the Latinos, you're messing with my asshole, motherfucker.
Don't forget to tune in next week for part 2 on Kill Me Now.